Pastor and Mrs. Robinson, Presiding Elder and Mrs. Leake, Presiding Elder Kim Anderson, to all of my colleagues in ministry, and to you, my sisters and my brothers, it is an absolute joy to be with you today. Let me thank you for the invitation to come back to New Jersey. And I discovered that the traffic hadn't changed. And a whole lot remains the same. Second, it is a joy to see so many people that I have known over the years. It is a joy to see all of you. I'm happy to see some of the people with whom I served as their pastor for 31 years at St. Matthew Church. And it's good to see some people who tried to boss me around then and trying to boss me around now. So let me thank Janice Royal. She didn't invite me to come and speak today. She told me I was coming. And I do what I'm told. Let me say it's a joy to see again Nicole McPhail, who, when I was the ecumenical officer for the A.M.E. Church, served as my secretary. And I would love to have had her as my secretary in Georgia, but she decided she would rather work at the cemetery than be my secretary in Georgia. And I want to come and visit her at that job. But if anybody out there spoke to me, I'd be in big trouble. But it's a joy to see all of you. Let me thank Pastor Robinson for the very kind and gracious introduction. And I'm especially delighted to be able to come and say a word on behalf of Dr. Erika Crawford. Now, there are very few people I would do what I'm doing today except Erika Crawford. I just finished 6 conferences, a planning meeting. Last week was in Hampton, and got to leave and catch a plane at night to get back to preach tomorrow morning in Atlanta. And so for all of that, Erika Crawford is one of the few people. And again, let me thank Sister Royal. She's been so kind today. When I got here, they reserved a spot for me, and I called to let her know I was here. And I think she was talking to Nicole McPhail and said, no, tell him to bring his car around. You know he can't walk. So I said, I see Janice is on a road today. Yeah. And the reason I'm glad the door, ain't the door back here somewhere? Oh, over there? Oh. I'll give us. I'm glad I'm near the door, because when this is over, I'm going to have to get out. Because, yeah, y'all hold Janice back while I go. But it is a joy to be here. The Apostle Paul, in a letter to his son in the ministry, Timothy, said these words: whoever desires the office of a bishop desires a good work. Erika Crawford desires to do a good work. And I completely, totally commit myself to her election as one of the bishops of the A.M.E. Church. We'll elect 5 or 6 bishops, and I am determined that she will be one of them. Not because she's a friend of mine, not because we've known each other for a long number of years, but I support her because she's qualified for the office. Friendship does not qualify you for every office. Sometimes our friends do us harm. And so, brothers and sisters, I support Erika Crawford because she is a leader. John Maxwell, in his book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, makes a statement which will be eternally true. This is what he says: everything rises or falls on leadership. Leadership matters. But I keep reminding the clergy and laity in Georgia is that everything rises or falls on leadership. Pastor, the reason the church is the way it is because of your leadership. Now, brothers and sisters, there are several characteristics that we need to look for in a bishop. Now, brothers and sisters, the A.M.E. Church is at a crisis point in its history. We have lost so much credibility because of poor leadership. Too many of our churches are not growing because of poor leadership. And so, my brothers and my sisters, we need to find leaders who have godly characteristics. And understand, all characteristics are not godly. But we need to find leaders who have godly characteristics. And let me just lift up 6 qualities of leadership that we need to have in the next bishops that we elect. First of all, we need to elect godly leaders who have influence. My brothers and my sisters, in the end, leadership is really about influence. You can be the most intellectual person in the world. You can be the wealthiest person in the world. You can have the highest position in the land. But that doesn't mean that you have influence. Influence is persuading or convincing people to do something. In fact, oftentimes, leadership is being able to get people to do what you want them to do without them knowing they're doing it. We need leaders who have influence. Oftentimes, I have pastors come to me complaining, Bishop, the problem is my people don't want to do anything. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. I respond to them, brother, sister, no, that's not the issue. The issue is your lack of influence. Leadership is able to influence people. Don't you remember when Moses assigned 12 people to go and spy in the land of Canaan? And 2 of those 12 was Joshua and Caleb. And they came back with their report and said the land of promise is a good land. It's flowing with milk and honey, and we can take it. But then the other 10 spies came and said, you're right, it is a great land, but we can't take the land. We are like grasshoppers before them. We can't defeat them. And the people rejected Joshua and Caleb's recommendation because they didn't have enough influence. It took a little while. 13 years later, they got enough influence, and all of the 12 tribes said, let's go in the land. Pastors, you've got to have influence. Bishops have to have influence. Erika Crawford has influence. In addition to that, not only must they have influence, but we need godly leaders who are made. They are made leaders. Now, there's some people, and this is true, there's some people who say, oh, they were born to be a leader. And that is true. There are some people who are born to be a leader. The key words are to be. You might have been born to be a leader, but you're not a leader yet. You become a leader on the basis of the experiences that you've been through. Again, look at Joseph. You see, most of us got Joseph all wrong. Joseph was born to be a leader. The Bible talks about he was going to be born. But as much as he was born to be a leader, he wasn't ready to be a leader. He was arrogant, egotistical, and felt entitled. And some of us feel sorry for what he went through. But look at what happened to him. Had a dream. Rather than being humble and said, I had a dream that in the future God was going to bless me. And rather say, this is what he said. Said to his brothers, y'all, I had a dream that one day my stock was going to rise up and tower over you, and you're going to bow down to me. Now, they were already upset with him because his daddy liked him more than them. And now you're going to talk about you're going to bow down to me? And then he was so arrogant, he had another dream, went and told his daddy, old man Jacob, the sun, the moon, the stars, all y'all going to bow down at my feet. And you know what his brother said? We'll see about that. He wasn't ready to be a leader, but God got him ready. What did God do? God had him sold into Egypt. God had Potiphar's wife lie on him. He was thrown in jail. In jail, he met the chief butler, the chief baker, and they got out of jail. And he said, now, to the chief butler, when you get out of jail, remind Pharaoh I'm down here. The chief butler forgot all about it. Years later, Pharaoh had a dream. And the chief butler just didn't remember. Said, you know, it's a man down in jail. Now, if you go get him, he'll interpret your dream. When Joseph interpreted his dream, Pharaoh took him out of jail, made him second in command in Egypt. Joseph wasn't ready to be a leader when he was born, but sometimes God had to break us to make us. Sometimes God had to knock us down to pick us up. Sometimes God had to cause us to lose ourselves, to find ourselves, but he makes us a leader. Erika Crawford has had some life experiences which have made her a leader. And then godly leaders know how to be connected. Know how to be connected. There are a whole lot of leaders, whole lot of pastors, whole lot of lay leaders who don't do well because they don't know how to connect with people. Now, if you're in the church and in a leadership position and can't get along with people, you're in the wrong place. I told somebody last year, if some of our ushers had been in charge on January 6th at the Capitol, we wouldn't have had all that problem. Oh, yeah, they done nipped that in the bud right quick. But you got to be able to connect with people. You got to know how to interact with people, have relationships with people. When you can't stay at a church, it means you're not connected. People are not going to follow you because you got a title. You know, one of the most shocking things in my life, and some of them are here today, I am still utterly amazed that I stayed at St. Matthew for 31 years. I am an absolute, I still can't believe it. When I was assigned in 1981, the Saturday before my first Sunday, St. Matthew had a flea market. And I went to the flea market because I wanted to show them that their new pastor was supportive and all that. I showed up, and there was a lady of sainted memory named Dorothy Cato. No, I love Dorothy Cato. But that flea market, Sister Cato met me, and I met her. And she said, "Oh, Reverend, we are so terribly disappointed." She said, "You young enough to be our grandson. How you going to lead us?" And it'd have been good if she stopped right there. But this is the part that got me, Dr. Crawford. She said, "And we asked the bishop to send us a scholarly preacher, and he sent us you." And I said, "Myself, ain't no need for me to even unpack, because I ain't going to be here that long." And ended up staying 31 years. What I discovered was that God spoke to me through Miss Cato. It took about 2.5 years, but I went to every one of their houses. I heard all their family history, all their stories. I sat down there and looked through every blessed photo album. The only good thing was I got to eat their food. Now, there was some great cooks. But after 2.5 years, they felt like they knew me and I know them, and they started to follow my leadership. If you're going to be a godly leader, you've got to be able to connect with the people. They need to know you. You need to be able to interact with them. I don't understand when a pastor says, "I don't want them to get to know me like," well, they're not going to know you, you're not going to lead them, and they're not going to follow you. And then fourth, godly leaders have character. Godly leaders have character. And God knows we need some leaders with character. Sometimes leaders don't understand why folk won't follow them. And I'm sure all of you have heard the saying, you know, you've heard it before. If you're a leader going down the street and ain't nobody following you, you're just taking a walk. Yeah. There's a reason why a lot of folk don't follow us. We don't have character. Integrity matters. Transparency matters. Dependability matters. Have you ever wondered why this man in the Bible, who should have been one of Israel's greatest leaders, ended up being one of Israel's greatest failures? Samson had everything going for him. He was bright. He was good looking. He was built. Had everything going for him. Yet he became one of Israel's greatest failures because he didn't have character. Let me remind you, don't get so caught up with your reputation. Don't let your reputation take you where your character can't keep you. Samson had a reputation, but he didn't have character. No integrity. Lying to everybody. Then he lied to the wrong woman. You know Delilah? Yeah. I'll tell brothers, don't ever get involved with anybody who got L-I in the middle of their name. You know, he got the lie. Oh, honey, tell me, where does your strength lie? He told her it wasn't a lie. Oh, honey, you lied to me. You know I love you. Please tell me, where do your strength? Oh, honey, I'll tell you. Lied to a second time. See, one thing about lying, when you start lying, it becomes repetitious. And after a while, you believe it yourself. That's one of the problems Donald Trump has. He done lied so much, he believed it himself. Samson ended up being a failure because he didn't have character. Too many of our leaders in the church today are failures because they don't have character. We have people who want to leave our church because their leadership doesn't have character. Churches want to withdraw because the leadership doesn't have integrity. My brothers and sisters, character matters. And then we need godly leaders who are willing to sacrifice. Too many of our folk don't want to sacrifice. Not time, not talent, and the Lord knows certainly not treasure. We want to live in a world where we are leaders, but at our convenience. I keep reminding myself that I asked the church to make me a bishop. I asked for it. And y'all gave it to me. And y'all sent me to Africa. Sent me to the poorest district in the church. I was so happy when we had a meeting back in the States. I had a chance to put on my fancy robe and my bishop's ring. Because when I got over to Africa, ain't nobody cared about my robe, nor my ring. They sent me to the poorest district in the A.M.E. church, Malawi. I got there in Malawi, the plane landed, 17-hour trip nonstop, one way, sitting in coach. We not got a back problem now was because of all of that going to Africa. No, and seriously. The doctor said, now, Bishop, don't you get on another plane that's more than an hour's flight unless you sit in first class because you are destroying your back. And then when I got there and got off the plane, they gave me a parade. I said, oh, man, this is wonderful. We paraded downtown, and then we got to the church. First thing messed me up was they were out there killing a cow. And they said, oh, Bishop, this is going to be your lunch. I said to myself, that's what you think. And then we had to offer it. And I forgot I wasn't in the United States, you know. United States, you know, the bishop starts it off. I started off and put in $100 bill. Yeah. I was the bishop. And everybody came. I saw him putting in $1,000 bill, a $500 bill. I said, oh, man, we're going to have a great offering. Later on, I asked the church, I said, how was the offering today? Oh, Bishop, it was a good offering. I said, how much was it? He said $123. I said, did that include the 100 I put in? Yes. In Malawi, their dollar was called the kwacha. That $1,000 bill kwacha was worth about 50 cents in American money. Godly leaders are willing to sacrifice. Folk look at the bishopric and think, oh man, you got it made. It's sacrifice. That's why some of them fight about where they going. Pastor Crawford is willing to sacrifice and has made sacrifices. Show me anybody who's not willing to sacrifice. I'm going to tell you that somebody doesn't need to be in leadership. We A.M.Es are tremendous for not wanting to sacrifice. We don't teach our people to be generous. We teach our people to give as little as you can. Only 20% of A.M.Es across the connection are tithers. 20%. And then they ask, why you not doing this? Why you not doing that? You know, I didn't have no A.M.E. sense. When I was getting ready to graduate from seminary, I had no A.M.E. sense whatsoever. I getting ready to graduate, Bishop Hildebrand, and I said, Bishop, when I graduate, please don't send me to New York City. I'm from Delaware, rural state, country folk. I was petrified of being in New York. So he sent me to Jersey City. I rode across that Verrazano Bridge, I swear it was moving. And then no better sense, went up the New Jersey Turnpike, saw exit 14C, Jersey City, Grand Street. And I saw all these fabulous glass. I said, boy, this is wonderful. Had no idea I was looking in New York City. And I said, Bishop, I asked you not to send me to New York. He said, I didn't, but I got you close as I could. I didn't want to sacrifice. You can't serve God and not sacrifice. My brothers and my sisters, I pray that you will do your best to help Erika Crawford be one of the bishops of the church. She is a godly leader. In February, I was in Washington at the White House for a Black History Month event, and another one of the leaders of the church was there, and we got to talking about who we were supporting. And he said, well, I'm not sure I can support Erika Crawford because she needs to pass a little longer because she hadn't done anything. And as much as you may be alarmed about that, they won't know what she has done if you don't tell them. But her record speaks for her. I told her a few minutes ago she needs to put out a flyer in, where we going? New Orleans, that says, let the work I've done speak for me. Every church she's been to, she's paid off the mortgage. Every church she's been to has grown. Every church she's been to, she left it better than she found it. And in fact, when I was in the 20th district, the poor 20th district, Erika Crawford sent money every month to help us build a new church in Malawi. Ebenezer in Malawi, named after Ebenezer in Rahway. Erika Crawford didn't have to do that. She didn't know the people. She'd never been to Malawi, but because of her heart, she did it. So, brothers and sisters, you don't need to keep it to yourself, but everywhere you go, you need to talk about the work that she has done. And especially here in New Jersey. Let me say that again, especially here in New Jersey. Since I'm going back to Atlanta tonight, let me just say this and kind of get down my system. You know, I am a little concerned because the New Jersey conference today is not the New Jersey conference I knew. And if New Jersey does not support somebody like Erika Crawford, you will regret it. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Let me close and say this, and if you don't hear anything else I've said today, I hope you'll remember this. You get the kind of leadership you elect. Let me say that again. You get the kind of leadership you elect. Our country faces tremendous problems today because of the leadership we've elected. Our church is in trouble today because of the leadership we've elected. I hope you will elect somebody who desires to do a good work. I hope you elect somebody who is willing to serve rather than being served. I hope you will elect somebody who loves God and has a heart for the people of God. Now, Erika surprises me on some of this stuff. I got to admit that. I don't know why she likes yellow so much. I'm trying to figure it out. Peculiar stuff. But she's the pastor of my home church and doing a marvelous job. Before we came out here, we were sitting down there in the room, and I pulled out my checkbook. She said, make it payable to Mount Zion. She didn't know who I was going to write that check out. But you know what I did? I followed leadership. I made it out to Mount Zion. Oh, brothers and sisters, we need Erika Crawford. I hope you will come to Columbus, Ohio. I hope you will help her campaign. I hope you will contribute so that she can travel across the country and to the other districts 14 to 20. I love Erika Crawford. I mean, she makes me pay for it, but I love Erika Crawford. I am in the sunset of my ministry. God has blessed me to have a wonderful ministerial career. 2 years in Jersey City, 31 years at St. Matthew. When I finish, 16 years on the bench. 2028, I'm going to retire, and ain't nobody going to talk me out of it. But I want to leave the church in good hands. And I believe those hands are Erika Crawford. Whoever desires the office of a bishop desires a good work. My brother and my sisters, Erika Crawford will give you good work. God bless.